We have a broadcasted over the telephone and over voice over IP as well, so you should be able to hear me on voice over IP if that's your chosen method, and it's also being recorded as well. So, brief introduction. Since June 2008, Qlikview has been implemented by 25 UK universities, which is a real success story in terms of business intelligence software. BME, our company, has implemented at 20 of those sites and sold to 20 of those sites. We have a great collaboration user group which meets every 6. We have about 60 members and over 20 institution members. Our success really is rolling Qlikview out, whether it's 1 user or 1,000 users at a university. We've done that both of those, and our implementation is usually achieved with less than 10 external service days, which is kind of unheard of in business intelligence circles. So on the left-hand side there, you can see some of the universities that we've implemented Qlikview at. On the right-hand side, you can see the common applications that Qlikview is used for. Today we're looking at benchmarking. We've had previous webinars which have covered some of the other items. But what makes Qlikview unique? There's 3 things that make Qlikview unique. It is incredibly fast to implement. You can literally have a model up and running in hours. The other thing is it works associatively. It works not in the way that data works, but in the way that the human mind works. And you'll see that in the demo. The last USP or unique selling point about Qlikview is that it's incredibly easy to use. There's no end user training, and in fact the model we're going to show you today doesn't require any training. It just simply comes across as a series of web pages. None of us have, I certainly haven't been in a Google course or an iTunes course, but I use both products a lot. These products are intuitive, just like Qlikview is. Qlikview is aimed at a self-service, no training type of environment for the end user. Just briefly in terms of the architecture of Qlikview, how information gets in. You have data sources. In today's case, we have a very large XML file which we bring into Qlikview, which is the KIS data. The data is loaded into memory via an ETL tool, extract, translate, load tool, and the dashboard is presented to the user, and it's that dashboard we're going to be looking at today. But the key difference for me, the real difference with Qlikview compared to other products, traditional products, is traditional products, you're pushed down a linear drill path. So if you're looking at reporting, you need to report in a certain way, and the data has been structured in a certain way. With Qlikview, it works on a more associative model, and you'll see that in the demo. I can start at any angle. I can start with the lowest level of detail, which may be my student name and number, or I could start at the highest level of detail, which may be my faculty. We've got some case studies on our website in terms of universities that have implemented Qlikview. But moving on to what I really wanted to show you, what we want to show you today is the demonstration of Qlikview. We just have to put a footnote on there that we can't guarantee the validity of the data. It's a demonstration model and has not been underwritten by any higher education institution or higher education body like KIS or HEFKI or Unistats. The model that you're going to be seeing today is very much a demonstration model, although the data is pretty much spot on and accepted in a few cases. So if you've worked with KIS before, you will know that on the Unistats HESA website, you can, as a student, go in, look at a particular university, look at a particular course, and you will be given some of the some information that is pertinent to that particular course. And it's great for students, the KIS site, the key information set information, but it's not so great for institutions who would want to look at the information in a much broader context. So the sort of questions we looked at in terms of what universities would be asking are the below. And the application that we have built is very much benchmarking my institution or a range of institutions against any other institution, any other group of institutions, any other institutions that are in a particular region, and you can drill to almost any single, to any level on there. Where do we find the data? At the top of the page there's a web address, and we've taken a screenshot of the web page where we get the data from. By clicking on the I accept tab, you download a very large zip file which contains a very large XML file and 21 medium-sized CSV files which and you can look at the KIS. The data is downloaded either it's all in one XML file or in these CSV files, but that's what the page looks like, and the address is up at the top there, and we will distribute that address after this webinar. The data is available to the general public, so anybody can download it. There's no special license required. The license conditions are on the website, and as I mentioned before, the very large zip file is 15 megabytes, 21 CSV files and one XML file. The only other two files we've used in this presentation are also available on the website, and they'd be lookup files. Files we've used are in red below. Great, so what does it look like? This is Qlikview, and I have a Qlikview file in front of me, and I have tabs up at the top. On my first tab, I would set the preferences for my institution. Which institution am I working for? What are my peer institutions, and what are my regional institutions? The next tab is the National Student Survey, and I will take you through these tabs in detail. It's just really showing you the structure of the model, but it's almost a bit like upside down Excel, where I have tabs up at the top, and by clicking on them it takes me to the next tab. So our model is made up of NSS, destinations including salary information, entry information, which would be tariff points, study information in terms of how my study for a student, what the study time is carved up as, accommodation information in terms of beds, number of beds and cost, the degree class information, and finally some fee information. So in Qlikview, what we've done in this particular model, we've selected a University of Southampton. We've also preset a peer group and a regional group, and I'm going to move to the NSS tab over here. I'm just if you have any questions, sorry, just to interrupt, if you've got any questions, there's a chat available on the right hand side of your screens, and you can have a look at you can ask questions on there, and we'll go through them at the end. So on our first tab, on the NSS tab, we're looking at we've selected the University of Southampton, and there are three important colors in Qlikview. and the important colors are green. If I choose something, it goes green. Anything else that is associated with that choice goes white. So if I click on my JAX codes, which should possibly read subject codes, and I choose computer science, and I move back to course, I can see that at this particular university there are 13 computer science courses. There are 204 if I move across to the right-hand side. There are 204 universities that offer computer science, and there are 1,943 computer science courses. If I can choose a particular course if I want to, or I can choose a range of courses if I want to as well. And the green, white and grey shows me what's selected. Grey means it's not associated, and white means that it is associated. So going back to my JAX codes, choosing computer science, going back to course, and clearing my selections. I can see those 13 courses in white over there. So what can I do in this model? If I have pre-selected a peer group, I can click peers, and I can see that there are 8 institutions in my peer group, and there are 82 computer science courses in that peer group. If I look at my bar chart in the middle here, there are the 22 NSS questions in there, and if I have scored better than my peer group, there will be a green dot showing where my peer group score is. If I have scored worse than my peer group, there will be a red dot showing where the peer group score is. So the red dots are the comparatives, and the grey bars are my institution. And of course I can choose any combination of subjects I want to, and what the model does is averages it all out and works out the score based on what I've chosen. If I wanted to compare myself against the Russell group, I would click Russell, and the Russell group would be selected, or the Million Plus group would be selected, or the Alliance group would be selected, and I can look at that particular subject level, computer science, against those groups. I can clear my selections at any stage, and I can go in from a totally different angle if I want to. So if I was to look at something, for example, if I wanted to look at something quite unique, like maritime technology, I could go back to my courses and see that I offer 6 courses in that. And because these universities are in white, it's immediately found any other university that teaches that subject code. So JAX code and subject code really are kind of one of the same thing in this model. We thought about changing the word JAX to subject, but I can see that there are 9 universities that teach that subject code, and I can see that there are 34 courses in those 9 universities for that particular subject code. I can go and look at one university. Let's choose a different one, Plymouth. And now I'm comparing myself against Plymouth University, and Plymouth has 10 courses in maritime technology. From a global view, I can see on the left-hand side, the left-hand side applies just to this institution that's selected. The right-hand side applies to everything. So in this particular model, in the XML file, We have 372 institutions, and there are 26,000 or almost 27,000 courses that are offered. On the left-hand side, because I've got the University of Southampton selected, I have 244 courses in total. I'll just talk you through the navigation around this menu on the left. Under the Courses tab, we've of course got courses. We can choose a particular level that we want to look at. We can look at a mode in terms of full-time or part-time, and we could also look at a course stage tab there. So all of these things are selectable. Under the JACS codes, or subject codes, we've got level 1. The key there is the grey ones are not offered by this particular university. They don't teach those subject codes. We've got level 2, which is slightly more detailed, and level 3, which is even more detailed. And I can choose anything I want to here. So I've just chosen Fine Art, and I can see that Fine Art rolls up into Art and Design, which rolls up into Creative Arts and Design. I can see there's 121 institutions that offer that. I could say, well, benchmark myself against the Russell Group. There are only 6 Russell Group universities that offer that course, and there are 11 courses in there. So that's the NSS tab, and this we will give you the address of this model. You can actually go and look at this model on the internet after this this presentation. If I then click on the Destinations tab, so I'm just going to set my peer group again. I'm going to go and look at the Destinations tab, and I can go back and I can go and look at various reports. So what are my students doing 6 months after they've left? If I go to my particular university, very few of them are unemployed, and the bulk of them are in work or study. And this color coding up at the top tells me that. What do my students earn on average? I can see that in my peer group I'm kind of in the middle, probably around about just under £20,000 a year. But once again, this is reliant on the level or the subject or the mode that I've chosen. So my biological science students earn pretty well, whereas my computer science students earn slightly less. And if I go to law, they earn pretty much in the same bracket, and I can gauge myself quite nicely against that. At any stage, there's an Excel button here. I could send these results to Excel. So what it would do, it would actually send the numbers that underlie that to an Excel spreadsheet simply just by clicking on there. There's something I want to move back to the NSS tab, because we find this particular report here is very, very good to benchmark yourself against. So my institution for these 22 questions is in blue, and I can see very clearly where I'm better or where I'm worse against the basket of institutions that I've chosen. And I can preset those institutions up by these buttons up on the top here as well. Moving on to entry information, what sort of points are required for me to get into the university? This black line here is the average line of my peers, and if I wanted to look at against another group, you'll notice the grey bars will stay the same because it's set to my institution, but the average line will change based on the university I'm looking at. And I can, if I want to, just choose one university to benchmark myself against, or I can just pick and choose on the fly on the right-hand side. Going on to study information, similar set of charts, what sort of work is done in terms of my studying. I'm going to reduce the list of institutions, makes it a bit more readable, and I can see very quickly there in terms of 3 colors what the course is made up of, and I can also look at another metric in terms of study style over there as well. Accommodation. This now is not specific to course, but if I look at my peer group, I can see that Southampton is quite expensive in terms of students. So this chart shows me, and I can also look at it in numbers in terms of how many beds I have. Sorry, this one isn't, it's not cost, this is beds as well. So I can see Cambridge has loads and loads of accommodation. Southampton and the rest have not got that much. Degree class. How many firsts, how many uppers, how many lowers, and this chart should tell the story. And finally, on the fees side, what fees and where I sit in the matrix of fees in terms of what I'm paying. Good. So that's the introduction into it. As I say, it is available on our website to actually go and have a look at. What I want to do now is ask David, if we can hear him. I'm not sure if we will be able to just talk a little bit about bringing the data in.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me? Lecture mode off. All participants can be heard. Hello? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. Hi. Yeah, hi. So Steve just asked me to give you a sort of 5 minutes on sort of technical background. I'll try not to be too technical, I'll click you. But basically, what we did, the way Qlikview works is we load the data from the XML file. Now, the way the XML file is structured, basically it joins itself up fairly well, to be honest. So there wasn't a huge amount of coding to get that data in, and it just brings in the, I think, 21 tables from the XML. And all I had to do was rename a couple of fields that were the same to bring that data in. One of the beauties of Qlikview is then I then brought in a couple of spreadsheets as well and joined them into the data set. With Qlikview, it doesn't really care if you've got some data from Oracle, some from SQL Server, some from Excel, some from a text file, some from an XML file. It treats them all the same once it gets them in. So in that respect, relatively straightforward to then bring them in. And that's the sort of ETL side of things, which is extract, transform, load. So we did that, and then we built the screens over the top of that. So this model probably took me, I don't know, between three and 4 days, I would think, to build from scratch. And sort of adding tweaks as we've gone along. But in terms of building, getting data in, you're then building specific objects and building a graph and saying, show me by university this value, or by course this value. So that's the way we sort of set about things. So it tends to be a 2-level approach. We get the data in, and then we build the presentations. Once you have the model, adding another graph or another table is a relatively quick and straightforward process. So obviously if people then say, that's very good, but can you show this? Usually we can just build it straight in front of them once we've got the model there. And sort of 5-10 minutes later they have the graph they were after. So that's, without skimming much, I haven't skimmed it. That was basically it. Obviously if there's any questions on the technical side, I think we did a Q&A session at the end to answer any specifics on that. I'm very much aware, I don't know the target audience here, so I don't want to go off into connections and building ClickView scripts, and if everyone's not really there what they're interested in that respect. But that's it, I guess, from me.
Thanks, David. Great, thanks, David. Yeah, we have mainly the 90% of the people, and there are about 30 attendees today, are not familiar with QlikView. We will be running a separate session probably in a few weeks' time with our user group in terms of a much more detailed session on how this model is constructed. What we wanted to show this particular audience is what you can do with QlikView, and also how you can actually distribute that. So this model is on our website, and some of you may have already been there already and seen it, but we'll remind you of the address as well. So in terms of the Q&A, you should all have on the right hand side some sort of chat bar over there, and if you want to ask any questions, maybe just type them into that chat screen there if you can. Yeah. Okay, so we're 2 minutes away from our scheduled finish time. So what I want, the last thing that I just wanted to show you was where this model is. So on the website www.he.bmesol.com, there are 8 demo models, in fact, which you can click through, at your leisure. The one that's highlighted in the bottom left-hand corner is the key information set model, which is identical to the one that you've seen. If you go onto that web page, you can actually go and open up that model. There is one restriction. We have a license which only allows 5 concurrent users on this particular web page. So if you go in and it won't let you in, and you may get some sort of message saying out of session calls or something like that, just go in and try a bit later. So if all of you go in now after this and try and open that model, you will some of you may get an error message. And I suppose the last punt from our side is we are specialists in the higher education sector. We've had almost 5 years now of implementation experience. The KIS model is just what today's webinar was about. There are other models on there. The one above the KIS model is probably a lot more functional for you, where it is the same series of same look and feel, same point and click, which then allows you to explore your student population as well. There's a model around student engagement, and there are some other Unistats type models on there too, in terms of what the students are studying in the UK and what universities have got what numbers of students, etc., etc. So for me, that's all from our side, and thank you very much for attending. If you are interested in talking about it further, or exploring this KIS model further, or exploring what QlikView can do and how other universities are using it, please do get hold of us. And on our website, finally on our website, there is a resources page. There's a link that says higher education somewhere, and there you can look at case studies of universities that have implemented QlikView, the notes about joining the user group, and previous user group meetings, the demo models as we've spoken about, and there's also a forum on there which where we share information with our users. Unfortunately, you have to be a customer to be on the forum. And that's it from our side, and thank you very much for attending, and I'm sorry about the late start for 5 minutes, and yeah, please you would all have my email address and my contact details on the emails, the webinar emails. Yeah, get in touch if you'd like to. Thank you very much.